right. Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully everybody can see me okay. It's getting kind of dark. Shoot. Where we at? Where we at? Is this super loud? Can you hear me? Is this super loud? Can you hear me? Is this super loud? All right. Can you hear me okay, or is it like a super loud? Is it like a loud noise in the background? It sounds like it's really loud. Am I coming in fine, or is it super loud? Because I'm trying to talk on these headphones, but maybe it might be better just using a microphone. But it seems like it's really loud. Let me see. How do I look at the chat? Okay. All right. Cool. Sounds horrible. Okay. Okay. All right. Then I gotta switch. I gotta switch these. So let me change up. All right. Just give me a second. Let me change up. Yeah, I kind of figured as much. I don't know. I thought it would sound good considering the fact that talking on the phone they sound good, but guess not. Guess I'm completely wrong on that. Let's see if this sounds better on my normal microphone. I don't want to sweat to death in my truck, so. All right. Can you hear me? Is it any better, or is it still? Or do I have to change the settings? Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Oh, you can hear the truck, but it's not super loud and screechy like how it was before. Anyway, gotta get the sound right, but hopefully I can be heard a lot better this time, even though the truck might be a little bit loud. I might turn it off for a little bit. Cause it's okay. Hopefully I don't sweat to death. But what's up? What's up? New episode of T-Bait, or not episode, but new chapter of T-Bait. And I'm gonna get into that soon. Where am I at? Okay, 440. But let me talk a little bit about what happened in the last chapter. I'm probably gonna need some light because I might lose some light, so I might need to get some light here really soon. But I'm gonna worry about it a little bit later. But let's talk about what happened in the last chapter right now. So the last chapter, I was a little bit disappointed, but I think that I was disappointed because my expectations were too high. I think my expectations were too high. I was thinking it's gonna be like these hype conversations, and it was gonna be all this like discourse back and forth where they're gonna be like, oh my God, Grace Arthur, and there's gonna be a bunch of different conversations, and maybe it might be like not like a fight or anything, but like I thought it was gonna be like a lot of back and forth, a lot of like kind of gauging each other. I don't really know what I expected, but I didn't expect it to end so soon. It was kind of just like, oh, what is the plan? The plan is to use Arthur to hurt Agrona, to continue with him not having the support of the people and showing his weakness and stuff like that. And then it was just like, oh, okay, we might have to talk about, what we're gonna do with Cecilia. And it was just like, oh, okay, I need some time to think about this. And he just left. He left, and then we got Kara came, gave him the egg, and that was it. That was it. Or gave, not the egg, but like her core, gave Sylvia's core, and that was it. So, I don't know. I was expecting more, but we really didn't get more. So it kind of just is what it is. But this next chapter, I know that it was talk about, what was I talking about? About Cecilia and stuff, right? So that's why I'm thinking for this new chapter, I'm thinking that, because I remember I was saying that, because Arthur was talking about how we can bring Cecilia to Mordain because he knows about the reincarnation. Chul was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, that's a good plan. But then, Arthur was like, oh, I don't know, it's like having a bomb and she could like blow up or whatever. But, and then Sylvia also suggested that, we could just talk to her, like that's what I would think for any normal person who you have a complicated history with. You can just talk to her, be like, okay, so what are your motivations for working with Agrona? Like, see, I hate talking about Cecilia because her character is so trash and it's so flawed and it's just such a plot device at this point. It was like she was set up. She could really be interesting. She was set up to be a really interesting character. Another person who has connections with Arthur from his past, with Nico and everything like that, and then like figuring out how they're going to kind of like how they're going to solve or how they're going to interact with one another, knowing what happened in the past and the the mistakes that Arthur made and the mistakes that Nico might have made, the mistakes that Cecilia might have made. And, it could be interesting in seeing, like, the dynamic between, she's working with a grown-up, and then she finds out the truth, and it's like, okay, she's going to, like, rebel from a grown-up, but then how is a grown-up going to reel her in? Is he going to use some type of mind control jutsu or some shit like that, to try to get her back under his control or something? But it's just like, Agrona's, he's such a great man, and, he's tried all these different things, and the lessers, he's got to experiment with the lessers. They're just nobody, and I'm just... I mean, she talks about Agrona like she's... Like she's known him for years or some shit like that, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. But I do see that this chapter is Cecilia. No longer Tessia, but Cecilia. I don't remember when it changed, but it's Cecilia now. I'm not expecting good things. I'm really not. I'm not expecting good things at all. I'm expecting for this to be disappointing. But I could be surprised. Maybe there's some development, or maybe what's going to happen is what I said in the last chapter is like next time we hear from Cecilia, she's walking up on Mordain's door, about to come in and wreak some havoc. She talked about how Agrona, knows, I think it was when he took, what was it, Lady whatever her name is, the Phoenix that was locked up, when she took her mana. I remember he was talking about how, because she got the visions and stuff, and then I remember he was talking about how he was like, oh, so that's where you've been hiding or something like that. So he knows they're in the Beast Glades. So I don't know. I'm really kind of hesitant to read this chapter because I don't want to be disappointed. But let me just get into it. It's a little bit dark. I might need to set up some light really quick. So let me do that. Bear with me for 1 second. 1 second, you gotta bear with me so I can get some light because the sun is going down. And, okay. Alright, it might fall, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay. Alright, got some light, even though it's not super bright, but we should be alright. Okay, so, let's get into the chapter. 420, or no, not 420. 440. Cecilia. Okay. So Cecilia. Voices above, around, familiar but far away. So, so far away. The words talking about, the words talking about the flames in my flesh. Oh, she's probably getting experimented on because of her shit imploding and stuff like that. The words talking about the flames in my flesh, dancing like spirits, swirling, eager manna. Wait, okay. You know what? I'm actually really interested in seeing like how because this is the stage that Arthur was supposed to go to, which is beyond White Core. So I'm really gonna be interested in seeing how it gets explained, like what is her new level. Cause think about the shit that she was able to do before. She was able to draw in mana from like the shields, and she said that she could siphon mana from other people's mana cores. She could rebuild mana cores, all this shit, and then she could take mana from fucking Asuras. So I can't even imagine what she's able to do now. Like, is she able to like is her mana control is gonna be so absolute that she's gonna be able to like split the earth and then like be able to cause like hurricanes with wind and be able to like part the sea with the waters and the oceans and shit like that, and then she might be able to make volcanoes just erupt or some shit. Like, I'm trying to think about the shit that she could do, like make volcanoes or some shit, create tsunamis and shit from the water. I don't know, man. It could be so crazy. It could really be crazy like that, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Swirling, eager mana, burning too much, more and more drawn to me, flames to the moth, filling me, my blood, my bones, mine, like the hole, deep and endless, a frost-filled pit. Can't remember what was there before in the hole. Magic, mana, a key, a core. The words again, strange voices and familiar ones. Delirium. I think that's fever, danger, time. A snap thread, frayed, incoherent, light, dark, eyes open. A darkness full of, this is so weird to read. A darkness, where am I at? I lost, oh yeah, okay, frayed, incoherent, light, dark, eyes open, a darkness full of color, red, yellow, green, blue, mana, figures looming, needles in my flesh, metal pressed against my skin, more words, delay, will, soul, healing, integration. So, okay. So it seems like she's like in and out of consciousness or something like that. And maybe what she's hearing is like the people talking around her, you know, doing their experiments and stuff like that. So maybe she's just hearing them, like all these different words: delirium, fever, danger, time, darkness, delay, will, soul, healing, integration. And I guess it's the mana integrating within her body. I guess is what it is. But I woke up trembling. The echo of a scream ringing in my ears, heart racing, bursting, terrified. There were stars outside my windows, the purple silhouette of mountains. Their name escaped me. Something was wrong with my mind, with my magic. I closed my and think about this. I gotta bring this up. Tessia allowed this to happen. That is just so crazy. Where was I at? I'll be forgetting my spot all the time. I closed my, no. Oh, it stars. Outside my windows, the purple silhouette of mountains. Their name escaped me. Something was wrong with my mind, with my magic. I closed my eyes, tried to think. It hurt. I hurt. My skin was burning. Muscles ached. Every breath was full of ragged pain. Pain and mana. Every breath was full of mana. Every breath was full of mana? Not flowing into my core, but into me. Calm down. The mana was there. The magic was there. Wind blew through me, cooling my bones. Sleep slipped back over me, so she went to sleep again. I blinked awake again. An unknown presence filling my rooms. At the foot of the bed, a man stood, like a grown-up, but also nothing like a grown-up. His eyes, two bright rubies, pierced me like blood-tipped spears. Maybe this is going to be a new character that we get to meet. Like blood-tipped spears. I shivered, feeling his gaze on my skin, under my skin, peeling me apart layer by layer. He had a cold gray face, impassive around his cutting eyes, two horns corkscrewed up from the top of his head. I knew that face. I thought only he said something, and someone else moved into view, his own presence dwarfing the first man, a grown-up. He smiled down at me and spoke kind words. This is a new person. Sovereign. Oh my God. See, we got names. I don't know these fucking names. Sovereign Oludari. If the I makes the E sound. Oludari. Oludari. I'm gonna say Oludari. Vritra of Truacia? I'm just going with it. Anyway. Names and places, the meanings of which I couldn't seem to capture. Appreciate the likes, by the way. Gotta like the video. I normally don't do videos this late, but I figured I might as well, get it done now. Besides, I was excited to read the chapter to see where we was gonna go next, but we got the Cecilia. It is what it is. Oludari, I think that's what I'm saying. Replied, concerned. A grown-up brushed the concerns aside, confident, assuring, daunting. Oludari don't make sense. Oludari? No. Oludari? I'm gonna just go with Oludari, just so I can't keep fucking these names up. Unassigned, a grown-up commanding. Oludari subservient. He cast an uneasy glance at me. Is she like better at reading body languages or something? Or like, I don't know. And my spirit shriveled. I closed my eyes and tried to breathe again. When I opened them again, I was alone. So she like keep going to sleep and keep waking up. When I opened them again, I was alone. Time felt more tangible, more real. Oh, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the Asuras. Remember when Winsome? It's so funny. Remember when Winsome was went to go see their vote that they did with the magical items or whatever that Kessels had left them that was going to like destroy the world or whatever the fuck. And he transformed into a cat, and he was talking about how he could feel the seconds of his life leaving him. Like while he was sitting there, he felt like he was wasting his time and he could feel the seconds of his life leaving. And so now it seems like she is either more attuned with time, maybe she's just more attuned with her body, and she can feel like her body changing every second. Like maybe it's something like that. But that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of what Winsome said. It's like maybe it's something that's like similar to the Asura. You know how their body is like made of mana, and now it seems like her body is like made of mana as well. But she doesn't have a mana core. That's crazy. So the mana, I wonder if the mana is keeping her alive, but I don't know, man. This bitch can probably do so many crazy things. Anyways, let me keep going. Subservient. He cast an uneasy glance at me, and my spirit shriveled. Shriveled. I closed my eyes and tried to breathe again, and when I opened them, I was alone. Time felt more tangible, more real. I could tell that several hours had passed. I struggled to think back to Agrona's conversation with Oludari, but it was like trying to remember a dream after waking. The more I tried to cling to the memory, the more it slipped through my grasp. That's exactly how dreams be, man. Like you would have a dream and you would wake up and you'll be able to remember that shit so vividly about everything that had happened. And then literally seconds will go by and you start to forget little by little by little, like every second that goes by. So I completely understand that. My fever had broken. How long has it been? I wondered. Weeks? I suspected. Long enough that I wasn't sure we were going to survive after. Wait, who the fuck is Is this Tessia? My fever had broken. How long has it been? I wondered. Weeks, I suspected. And then maybe this is Tessia talking. Long enough that I wasn't sure we were going to survive after all, Tessia said in my mind. Yeah, so this is Tessia. So she's just like freely talking now. No, nothing suppressing her. I wonder if she can try to suppress her like how she did last time. What's gonna happen, man? These characters, Tessia, Cecilia. Anyway, I never could have imagined experiencing it myself. How would anyone? I groaned and rolled over, pulled one of the sweat-stained pillows over my head. Leave me alone. There was no reply. After a few minutes, I pushed away the pillow and kicked my legs over the edge of the bed. I wonder also, since she can like so freely talk to her now, I wonder if she's gonna tell Agrona. And I wonder if she would let Agrona do some shit with her mind to like suppress her again or something like that. Or maybe she wouldn't want him playing with her mind anymore. Or maybe it wouldn't even work. I don't know. Now she has the Basilisk Mana, maybe it won't work. I mean, that was the reason why she was able to, you know, get her real memories back, but yet she still stayed exactly the same. Okay, let me just keep going. Gosh, she's such a terrible character. After a few minutes, I pushed away the pillow and kicked my legs over the edge of the bed. The floor was cold against my hot skin, and when I stood, my legs shook violently. I stumbled to the balcony door, which was open and leaned against the railing. The wind off the mountains was bitter cold, conjuring goose flesh. See, you know what's so crazy about this? I've heard them say, like, they, like, change in between the two. They change between saying goose flesh and goosebumps. Like, I've heard Ellie say goosebumps. I've heard Cecilia say goose flesh. I've heard somebody else say goose flesh. But then I heard somebody else say goosebumps. I don't know why he keeps changing up goose flesh and goosebumps. Maybe it's more like a, I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking too deeply about it. But I know it definitely, they go back and forth between the goose flesh and goosebumps. Goose flesh. I always forget where I'm at, you guys. Which was open and leaned against the railing. The wind off the mountains was bitter cold, conjuring goose flesh all over my body and making it shake even worse. Mana flowed to my limbs, and the shaking eased. It filled my lungs, helping me to breathe deeply. It sparked within my mind, clearing my thoughts. Before, it felt like I was Before, it felt like I was at Before, I felt like I was at one with the mana. That was difficult to read. It listened to me, reacted to my thoughts and desires. A tool I could do anything with. I could be stronger now, but there was this inescapable sense of irony. I couldn't remember feeling weaker and less myself. Since being reincarnated into this world. I was the legacy, and now I'd gone through integration, making me perhaps the most powerful mage in the world. This bitch's ego, yo. Like, how do you know that? It just doesn't make sense, man. Her whole character don't make any goddamn sense. She might as well just be a villain. You know, he might as well just make her into a villain. Make her just say fuck Nico and just kill Nico, right? Just kill Nico and be like, you know what? Fuck you, Agrona, and just kill Agrona and be like, I'm gonna take over the world. Like, I mean, he might as well. Like, that's like where her character's going anyway. It's just like, I perhaps could be the most powerful mage in the world, and if I work, I could possibly be the most powerful mage in the galaxy or some shit like that. You know, like just and bend the world to her whim. Like, he might as well just go all the way. Like, it's just. Is that a bad idea? Like, just like make her just kill Agrona, her just take over the basilisk and shit, and be like, y'all listening to me now, and just like, I can't imagine it. Like, just and it wouldn't be like, okay, now the big true threat is Cecilia, and now Arthur has to work together with Kezis to beat Cecilia. Like, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. Oh man. Where am I? I keep forgetting where I'm at. I had one in this whole rant, bro. I just don't. I just wish I understood where this character was going. I forgot. Where did I just like go skip? Give me a second. I skipped a lot of shit. I don't know where I'm at. All right, there was no reply. I felt like I was one with the mana. Couldn't stop my knees from shaking. Okay, I think this is where I'm at. I couldn't remember feeling weaker and less myself since being reincarnated into this world. I was the legacy, and now that I'd gone through integration, making me perhaps the most powerful mage in the world. But I couldn't stop my knees from shaking or the sweat from beating on my brow. Every breath felt like I was forcing it into my lungs. Like the next time I tried to breathe, I might not be able to. Agrona had told me I was past the worst of it, but I didn't feel that way. Whatever had happened to me while I was unconscious, right after my integration, I couldn't see how it was worse than these weeks of healing and sickness. There was a frightening sense of incorrectness to it. Kind of like I'd had a huge key center, but hadn't been able to stop it from surging out of me and hurting Nico. Wait. There was a frightening sense of incorrectness to it. I couldn't see how it was worse than these. She's explaining some stuff, so let me see. I couldn't see how it was worse than these weeks of healing and sickness. There was a frightening sense of incorrectness to it. Kind of like when I had a huge key center, but hadn't been able to stop it from surging out and hurting Nico and Gray. So now she's remembering her key being out of control and hurting Nico and Gray. So what did she think about Gray? Leaning forward, I was sick over my balcony's edge. Because remember, her rationalization from having her memories tempered was like, oh, they did this to protect me, and they did this so that way I wouldn't think fondly of Gray. But then you might be wondering, like, why wouldn't they want me to think fondly of Gray? Like, maybe Gray is the key to all this. I don't know. I think that's what I remember her saying. But anyway, leaning forward, I was sick over the balcony's edge. I propped myself up from the cold railing, tasting the bitterness of my own bile on my teeth and losing myself for a while. Then, slowly, I stumbled back to my bed and fell in it. But sleep was distant and unreachable. I just lay there, able to do nothing but drag the spotlight of my attention across the internal workings of this fragile elven body. But is the body still fragile though? Because like you got integration now, so shouldn't it be like powered all up from the mana? She said a few times about the elven body being fragile. It was still in the final stages of acclimating to the mana, now infusing every cell. How does mana infuse every cell though? I guess could it be the same with Arthur? Like his ether is infusing every cell. That's how he's able to like regenerate. But I don't think so. I don't think it's the same way. I don't think he ever talked about like breathing out ether and like his body. He can feel the ether flowing, but it's like mana though. And he has a core, and she doesn't have a core. So yeah, it's not the same. It was a strange sensation to have mana that was not constrained by a core. So she considers the core a constraint. Like it restricts or it stops the mana. I really was one with mana. That's what integration was. Agrona had tried to describe it, but what he told me couldn't match with reality. And it kind of reminds me of like what Meyer said to Arthur about ether and how he found out for himself, and he's like, oh yeah, her explanation wasn't even accurate with what ether does. Maybe his Asuran mind couldn't even conceive of what integration really meant. But then I thought no one hadn't experienced this sense of balance and power could hope to understand it. No one who hadn't experienced it, they can't understand it. Tentatively, I began to experiment with it, sensing the flow of mana around. Let's see what she can do, man. Let's see what she can do. I bet it's something crazy. I bet it's some crazy ass shit. Okay, I'm sweating now because I ain't got this truck on because let me see how loud it's gonna be. Let me know if it's too loud and you can't hear me because I'll turn it back off, but I'm a little bit sweating right now. Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay. Where was I at? All right, that's gonna stop beeping right now. Okay, that's gonna stop beeping. Okay. Blah 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 blah. She was testing her powers. Where was I at? How do I keep forgetting? Like, scroll. Give me a second. I'm terrible. I don't know why I keep losing my place. Okay. I think I'm back to where I was, or maybe my phone's just fucking up. Fragile elven body. That's what integration was. He tried to describe it. I began to experiment with it, sensing. All right, so sensing the flow of mana around and through me. Water attribute mana soothed my aching muscles, while wind attribute mana cooled my skin. Earth attribute mana hardened in my bones, and fire. Wait, okay, let me read. Water attribute mana soothed her aching muscles, while wind mana cooled her skin. Earth attribute mana hardened in my bones. Oh. And fire attribute mana warmed my blood. What the hell? This detached kind of observation helped bring some clarity. Integration, I realized, was actually a lot like awakening to mana after spending my entire former life trying to control my ki. Integration, I realized, was actually a lot like awakening to mana after spending my entire former life trying to control my ki. Maybe she means like her ki being so uncontrolled in her past, and how, you know, how terrifying that was because she couldn't control it or whatever, and then she awoke to mana, and then it's utter complete control. So she woke up to like just complete control in spite of like how she was in the past with her ki. I think that's what she means. In the same way that mana had felt so much more complete and magical, integration felt exponentially more potent than relying on a core to use magic. The creation of a mana core was similar to the condensing of a ki center, since each required the concentration of energy to form. With the sensation of mana filling and flowing freely through my body, very similar to ki manipulation on Earth, I felt myself shrink. So she remembers what she went through on Earth, but how does she not have the same personality? I felt myself shrink back from this thought. Still afraid that my mana... Oh, she's afraid that she can't control it. Still afraid that my mana, like with ki, will surge beyond my control, without a core to control it. Okay, so I understand her fear. I sat up and pushed my back against the wall, slowing my breathing. Being the legacy hasn't... What does that even mean? Like, she uses the legacy over and over and over again. Agrona describes her as the legacy, but what does that actually mean? But she talks about it as if like she understands what it is. Like, oh, being the legacy this, or I'm the legacy that. Like, we still don't even know what the legacy actually is. Like, was she meant to be reincarnated? Like, was this like, are we gonna find out that there was some sort of like prophecy about the legacy doing something with the worlds, connecting? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know what the legacy actually is. I sat up and pushed my back against the wall, slowing my breathing. Being the legacy hadn't stopped that from happening before. On Earth, I'm in control, I assured myself, repeating it over and over like a mantra. Eventually, sleep crept up on me and I drowsed. I woke screaming, and an echoing scream came back to me. Bolting up from my bed, I stared wide-eyed at the startled attendant who had been cleaning my room. Nico was sitting at my bedside. He quickly dismissed the attendant, who bowed and rushed from the room with a frightened backward glance at me. "What is it?" Nico asked, his voice soft. It almost sounded like his old voice, his real voice, the way he sounded back on Earth. So she remembered how his voice sounded? Okay. I looked at him more closely. Not his dark hair and sharp features, no. His Alacrian face wasn't his any more than Tessia Aerolith's thin elven face was mine. But the way he dug his nails into his palm, the way he tried not to show it when he was biting the inside of his lip, how he leaned toward me every so slightly, like he wanted to be just that, a little bit closer to me. In those moments, I could see him. And when I closed my eyes, I could picture him so clearly. I tensed suddenly as Tessia's voice entered my mind. Show him the manna from before. I knew what she was talking about immediately. The manna I had taken from Agrona's rune-covered table, the one I had woken up on after my integration. It had stayed within me, still carrying the shape and purpose it had been given by the strange runes. I think I vaguely remember this. I vaguely remember her talking about, vaguely remember. Remember, Cecilia, you felt like something was wrong when you first woke up. See, why does she need Tessia to tell her about, hey, this is suspicious. Hey, this might not be what you think it is. Hey, you might want to investigate this. Maybe you're not being told everything. Wouldn't she think this from her previous life of her being controlled, manipulated, experimented on, trained, all these different things? It's just parts of her personality is back, but then other parts of her personality isn't. I don't know. I'm just so fed up with her character, but let's see where it goes. Remember, Cecilia, you felt like something was wrong when you first woke up. There is more to all this than what you're being told. I didn't acknowledge her, but she was right. So she can just freely talk whenever she feels like it, I guess, at this point. I had woken up on that table feeling weak, but maybe they're trying to do something to control her. Maybe that's what those runes were for. Because Agrona's going to have to control it. You can't make an extremely all-powerful weapon and then give that weapon free will and not be able to control it. So he has to have some way of controlling her. And it's going to be besides this bullshit-ass promise to bring her back and, whatever implanted memories he put inside her. He has to have something more foolproof, something that's assured she's going to follow and do everything I say. And I don't think he's going to be able to use Nico as some sort of hostage situation the same way oh my god, they took Nico back in my past and that's what made me do all this shit. I don't buy it. So I don't think that's going to happen. He wanted to kill Nico a few times anyway, or at least let him die. Anyway, I woken up on that table feeling weak but myself, only to sink back into the sickness very same night. Yeah, the very same night. Half-remembered words tumbled in the back of my head, out of reach. Haltingly, or that is how you say that. Anyway, I began to explain to Nico what I'd seen and done upon first waking, and the discomfort I felt at being surrounded by the strange mages. You did what? That doesn't make sense. Cecil, he gave me a pitying look. It's not, possible. Bruh, how, he said it himself that she is going to be, Nico said it himself that she's going to be the most powerful, she's the legacy, she can do anything, but then now you're talking about how, maybe that was a former him, maybe that was a him that was memories implanted, that was talking that way. That might have been the former him. Or the old him, I should say. But yeah, I remember he was like, there was a legacy. There's nothing that she can't do. But then now you're talking about that's not possible. Didn't you just say there's nothing that she can't do? I held up my hand, palm up. Warm light issued from my skin as a wisp of mana appeared in the air, burning in the shape of the runes that had originally given it form. Nico's eyes widened and his breathing became shallow. He leaned forward, peering at the mana, his struggle to understand and accept clearly written across his face. I told him about the runes and what I wanted to do. Moving gingerly, Nico pressed the tip of his finger down into the mana. It condensed into a swarm of individual particles and was pulled into his body. I held my focus around it, allowing the spell to keep its form instead of being dissolved into the individual components of his mana. Nico's eyes closed, jumping around beneath his lids. So she can make spells go through your body and keep... Man... I'm not sure. Nico's words rolled out of him in a slow, drawl as his focus stayed on the spell. I felt him channeling mana into his regalia. The structure, the runes, the magic, it's not like anything I've ever seen. Huh. His eyes, I wonder what this means. What the hell is Agrona trying to do? I mean, I'm figuring he's doing something to try to control her as she's going through this integration stage. Maybe it's similar to what, like, Kezis did with the magical objects, where it's like, you know, he's going to give you power-ups, but he's also going to have something in there to, like, you know, have some sort of restrictions or some sort of control of some sort. So maybe this is what it is. Like, as she's still going through her integration stage and her body's getting acclimated, he's putting something in there to stop her from, like, having full control and going against him. That's, like, the only thing I can think of that actually makes sense. And Drake, you're right that she never cared for powers in the first place. Like, she didn't even want to be the legacy. Like, she felt it as a burden, but now all of a sudden she's, oh my god, the most powerful mage in the world. The things I could do, the people I can take over. Oh yeah, the structure, the runes, the magic is not like anything I've ever seen. But his eyes opened and he stared at me. His fear was obvious. This is going to take some time. We shouldn't tell anyone else about this. I agree completely. Nico hesitated, clearly thinking hard about something, then added, except Draniv. Maybe only if completely necessary. We can trust him because, well, just know that we can trust him. I've had him keeping an eye on you whenever I couldn't. Despite not really understanding, I acknowledged what he said. See, I was wondering what was going on with the Draniv shit. Huh. Okay. So Draniv is part of this. Part of the crew. At least as far as like the Nico Cecilia crew. After that, Nico came to my rooms as often as was prudent. Slowly, more of my time was spent awake than asleep, but the experience of integration left behind a deep-rooted fatigue that kept me in my chambers. Nico was yeah, so they're trying to do some shit. They're trying to study her and figure out how they can do the same, or they're trying to integrate something that's going to have her be in their control while she's still going through integration. Okay. Nico was restless when presented with a problem, a puzzle to be solved, a knot to be undone. His mind could focus on nothing else, and even when he couldn't be with me, my presence was required to hold the shape of the mana. He thought about it ceaselessly. I could tell something was bothering him, but he was hiding his fears from me. In all this time together, I hadn't wanted to derail his thoughts, and so haven't gone into more detail about the return of my old memories. But no, really, that's just an excuse. I was afraid of what I might hear after confessing. What would that conversation lead to? I wasn't ready to tell him that I had killed myself and let Gray take the blame. Whenever someone knocked on my door, okay, she clearly understands this. She clearly knows this. So, is she thinking that maybe Nico might? I don't know. Like, how would Nico react? I kind of think that he already knows this, because didn't Arthur tell him this? That he didn't, like, really kill her or something? I don't remember. I just have this feeling that Nico already knows. Or if he doesn't already know, he like strongly suspects it, so he's not gonna be surprised. An ether art integration? I don't know. I think it's gonna. I don't think so. Just because mana and ether are completely different. So just because Cecilia got an integration stage, I don't think Arthur is gonna get the same thing, because just the relationship is completely different. But his relationship with ether is unlike anybody else in the entire world. And they say that it's like a parent relationship. Like, they see him as a sibling of some sort, so they listen to him more. Like, he has more control over his ether than other people have control over theirs. Or they don't have their own ether, but over their manipulation of it. That's how he's able to undo Kes's spell and all the other shit, because his ether is just more potent. He controls it better. Anyway, so I don't think it's going to be the same, Vasquez. Anyway, I lost where I was at. I keep fucking losing. Okay, I could tell something was bothering him. Okay, but that's just an excuse. I was afraid of what I might hear after confessing. What would that conversation lead to? I wasn't ready to tell him that I had killed myself and let Gray take the blame. Whenever someone knocked on my door, I expected it to be Nico. I was surprised then, the day that Melsry strolled in. She wrinkled her nose as she looked around my room, not hiding her distaste. Hello, Legacy. I've been tasked with fetching you for some training. I'm sure you're just as excited about the prospect as I am. Ignoring her sarcasm, I stood and gestured wordlessly for her to lead the way. We were quiet as we passed. Okay, I'm ready to know what she can do. We were quiet as we passed through the halls of the Tigran Calum, and couldn't shake the feeling of scurrying like a mouse in her wake. I hated feeling so vulnerable. Melsry's long, bright white braid bounced with each step. The way her horns curled back over her head, they were pointing at me like spears. We never got along, but I couldn't help but admire her obvious self-confidence, the way she was entirely at ease in her own skin. I thought about trying to make small talk to break the awkward silence between us, but didn't know where to begin. She was a scythe, and all of Alakria knew her story. When her blood manifested, okay, what's her story? When her blood manifested, the resulting conflux of mana killed her high blood foster siblings. Her foster father, the man who had raised her for 12 years, flew into a rage and tried to kill her. Holy shit. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, if you literally woke up and your blood manifested and you ended up killing your siblings, probably his wife and shit like that, like, I'll probably be pissed and try to kill your ass too. Defending herself, she burned the heart out of his chest. And after that, she was taken in by Agrona and raised within this very fortress. It was probably why she'd become so bitter towards me. After all, she's been like a daughter to Agrona before I arrived. Oh, Melsry was like a daughter. Okay. In some way, I was certain she thought, but she's not. I guess she could be, though. I guess she could be, because Agrona doesn't give a fuck about his kids. So, he could consider her a daughter. Like, yeah, you're like a daughter to me. And now it's time for you to die. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't care. In some way, I was certain she thought that I supplanted her. And I suppose, really, I had. That didn't make me feel bad for her or anything. In fact, as I considered the situation, I felt more and more strongly that she'd gotten exactly what she deserved. Melsry and the rest of the sides were self-important, cruel people. Oh, they're cruel, but Agrona isn't. Make that shit make sense. Anyway, they've been awful to Nico. Oh, so, but Agrona's been awful to Nico too. Because I'm thinking like, okay, oh, she's saying they're cruel people because they've been awful to Nico. So it's not about who they are as a person as far as like how they treat other people. It's about how they treat Nico. But then, if that's the case, Agrona's been cruel to Nico too, but she doesn't have the same feelings about it. Just doesn't make sense. Come on, man. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Everything she says is just like a contradiction. Anyway. She just gets me so on edge, man. I swear. Maybe that shows that I just care about the story so much. Maybe that's what it is. Suddenly, that self-confidence I had admired only seconds earlier seemed unearned. I clenched my jaw and walked in silence. So she thought about, oh, let me have a conversation with her. And then she thought about, oh my gosh, she's been cruel towards Nico. All right, fuck this bitch. Let me just destroy her. It's just like, what? Her confidence is unearned. You don't deserve your confidence. Let me show you how low you really are. Oh my God. The bare walls and floor were cracked and blackened with scorch marks from the many powerful mages, retainers, scythes, and even wraiths who had trained here over the decades. There was no equipment or weaponry. Nothing to help with training. Anyone strong enough... Let me see, what if she ends up killing her? That's my prediction. They're going to fight, and she's going to kill her, and she's going to be like, oops, it was by accident. And then the girl's going to be like, well, it is what it is. We can learn from it. Anyone strong enough to be brought here didn't need things like that. I was unsurprised to find Scythe Viessa already present. Okay, I don't think she's going to kill her now. Now that somebody else is there, I don't think she's going to kill her. Already present, along with Dreneve and a handful of nameless mages I didn't recognize. Of those present, Viessa had the strongest mana signature, then Melsry. Dreneve was a distant third. The others were all mediocre mages at best. I could only assume they were researchers or scientists, not warriors. Melsry stepped beside Viessa, glowering at me. Viessa's porcelain skin was washed out in the dim light. Her purple hair dark and her void black eyes even darker. She would have been terrifying, except I looked down at my own hand, rubbing my fingers together. I could see the mana in each of them. Watch it churning in their core. Watch it churning in their core as it was purified. And I knew better than they did themselves just how strong or weak they really were. I could break these sides with the snap of my fingers if I wanted to. Oh my God, man. She's like slowly becoming a villain, man. I'm telling you, like, it's just, maybe that's what this is all leading up to. She's gonna kill Agrona and take over and be the big bad evil Thanos and try to destroy the world or some shit. I don't know, man. This is just so crazy. How did I get so far down? God damn. Okay, I could break these sides with the snap of my fingers if I wanted to. Dreneve bobbed forward, his expression hidden behind his awful mask. Lady Cecilia, Lord Agrona sends his regrets that he can't join us at the moment, but he hopes Scythe, Melsry, and Viessa will. He trailed off, his eyes jumping to the sides behind the mask. He cleared his throat, then finished. That they will make suitable partners for your training today. Viessa hissed under her breath. We should be helping Dragoff dig out the traitor, not babysitting this reincarnate child. Let me guess, she's gonna get angry about this and really show off and show her how beneath her Melsry really is. Oh no, Viessa. This is Viessa that said that. Both of them, Melsry and Viessa, really is. Melsry only rolled her shoulders and grinned. Now, sister, don't be like that. The legacy needs all the help she can get. Despite everything the High Sovereign has done to get her to this point, she hadn't had so much as one real victory for him. Okay, neither has she did. Like, you couldn't even stop fucking the lances. So I don't get it. Viessa scowled, circling around me and away from Melsry, so the two were flanking me. Your mana signature doesn't seem as strong as before, girl. Without a core, you seem deflated. Okay, so they're underestimating her. Okay. All of my self-doubt and anxiety melted away in the face of their taunting. These two were nothing to me. I sure as hell wasn't intimidated by their desperate jabs. Dreneve had taken several steps back, and the other mages followed his example. Lady Cecilia, it's to test her powers. You two should... Viessa thrust her hands forward, dark mana coalescing around them, spilling out like a swarm of locusts, and then vanishing. I was just going to say this. Fuck, I read too quick. I was just about to say this. She's going to do some attack, And she's literally going to be able to just like disintegrate the attack and like kind of like the same thing that Arthur does with he uses ether to control the mana, right? Just like they do some attack and she's able to just like, you don't have attack anymore. Matter of fact, all your mana in your body's gone and you don't have any mana anymore. And then now you're dead. Who's next? Like it's going to be some simple, easy shit like that. But I don't think she's going to kill them. But she could. I can see it happening though. Now I'm going back to the whole killing thing. I can see her killing the both of them. And she's like, oh, it happened by accident. I don't know. Dark mana coalescing around her, around them, spelling like swarm of locusts, and then vanishing. She stared at her hands, disbelieving, and thrust them forward a second time. Nothing happened. The mana didn't respond to her at all. Melsry summoned her blade, which burst into black flames and lunged at me. The flames snuffed out halfway. Her blade grew so heavy that she's using gravity magic? Her blade grew so heavy that she stumbled before it was ripped from her fingers, striking the floor hard enough to crack stone. Stop this at once. Wait, how you gonna say stop this at once when y'all was just berating her and giving her all these jabs talking about how, oh my God, Agrona's invested so much and you haven't accomplished anything. And then before the guy can even explain what they're supposed to do, you're already thrusting with an attack. And then now you're like, stop this at once, man. This shit, man. Okay, chicken kill him. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it now. God, Lord. Stop this at once, Viessa breathed. The mana in her core seething as it flowed out through her channels and veins, but she couldn't form it into a spell. Melsry balled her fists. What are you doing? I felt myself smile. I was cold and cruel. Oh, it was cold and cruel. The kind of expression that would have frightened me if I had seen it in another face. And then I told her, I explained what I was doing and what I was going to do. It was not without a sense of self-satisfaction that I watched them struggle to understand. But it wasn't until both fully realized the situation that I knew I had the stomach for what was to come. Closing my eyes, I took control of all the mana Viessa had just released and turned it back on her, driving it into her veins, scouring her channels and bombarding her core. Wait, could it is she possibly going to make her stronger, possibly? Because it might be cleansing her mana veins and her mana channels. But maybe it could overwhelm her. I don't know. I got thoughts. Closing my eyes, I took control of all the mana Viessa had just released and turned it back on her, driving it into her veins, scouring her channels and bombarding her core. I heard her knees strike the stone as a choked scream echoed through the combat hall. You bitch! Melsry cut off with a gust as her body slammed into the ground. The force of gravity so great, I knew her bones were crushing the meat of her body. There was no, okay, fuck trying to make her more powerful. She's legit I said it, right? I said killing her, right? There was no difference between the mana in my body and that in theirs, or in the atmosphere around us. That's the legacy. Here this is again, the legacy. My ability to control mana was unparalleled. And now that I had integrated, I no longer required that my mana be drawn into a core, purified, and released before being manipulated. From this new perspective, even the idea of purifying mana seemed inconsequential. I didn't need to wash the mana and make it mine in order to control it. I already controlled it all. The sides were helpless against me. Even those shadowy wraiths I've heard about will be hopeless against me. What good was an Asura's strength and magic if I could wipe away their spells before they formed? Pull their bodies apart from the inside with their own power. Starve them of what made them special. Even Agrona wasn't a threat to me. Which is why he's encouraged you to be so subservient. Tessia's annoying voice suddenly chimed in, interrupting my thoughts. He knew what you'd become, or hoped at least. He doesn't allow anyone else to be truly powerful, so he taught you to be obedient. I clamped down on my mana, attempting again to smother Tessia's voice, but I couldn't. It was the one thing I couldn't control. Okay, so this is confirmation she can't do shit. And if she can't do shit, Agrona can't do shit to silence Tessia. Okay. Lady Cecilia, perhaps Dreneve's simpering voice trailed off suggestively. I opened my eyes and looked down at the two sides. One writhing in pain to my left, the other flattened against a stone to my right. I released the pressure of the mana ripping at VS's insides and the gravity crushing Melsry, but I kept their mana in check, preventing either of them from forming. So this is why Arthur is so important, because she can't do the same shit to Arthur because she can't control either. But this makes me think, if she can do all this shit with mana, Ether is supposed to be even more powerful than mana. Like, can Arthur, like, potentially, like, I don't know, destroy the world and then, like, recreate it the way he wants? Like, I don't know. The limits in power in this story, I just think that it's like God level. Like planet busting type of levels. Like, I can create planets and destroy planets. I can potentially destroy galaxies and some shit. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. But this is cool, though. This is cool. I'm actually kind of liking this chapter. Where was I at? Okay, yeah, so she kept them in check, preventing them from, either of them from forming a spell. Tessia kept talking. He's got this promise to send you back to Earth hanging over your head, and Nico to threaten if you ever get out of line. He doesn't care about you or love you. He probably doesn't even intend to let you control this power. Why would he when he can just override your mind? I pushed her voice away. Although she could interrupt my thoughts, she couldn't affect my actions and my words. Floating off the ground, I brushed aside a lock of silver hair. Get up, you two. I want to understand just how far my control goes. Okay. The sky above Tegrin Kalem was heavy with dark clouds. I flew through them like a bird, enjoying the sensation of all that mana condensing around me, drawn to the natural storm. Turning upward, I shot through the cold air, moisture collecting against my skin, until I burst up into the clear sky. Below me, clouds rolled away as far as the eye could see in every direction. I liked it up there. It was peaceful, separate. Training with my new powers was more like exploration. Seeing what my limits were, I didn't have to learn through repetition, only to think with a clear enough vision and keep a clear head was a lot easier to do in the open air than buried beneath the fortress. The clouds began to swirl in playful patterns. So I wonder if she's eventually going to meet Agrona, and let's figure out like how she's going to like treat him. That's what I'm wondering. The clouds began to swirl in playful patterns. Steam rose up from them, condensing into the spheres of water that floated around and caught the light. The clouds lightened from a deep gray to soft, fluffy white. Floating down, I lay atop the clouds, resting my head on my hands and crossing my ankles as I stared up at the blue expanse above. Tessia, I said, my voice floating away from the gentle breeze. No response came. Tessia, I thought sharply, unable to suppress my irritation at having to call for her twice. Bruh, why is she acting like... It is crazy to me. Like, she's acting like she's like some royalty, like queen, and everyone's beneath her. And she gets irritated at the fact that, like, how dare I have to call on you twice? Like what? Who is this person? Like, who is this person, man? I don't get it. Unable to suppress my irritation at having to call for her twice. This power doesn't suit either of us, she answered after a few seconds. We both know the only reason you're calling for me is because it gives you a false sense of control. Wait. This power doesn't suit either of us, she answered after a few seconds. We both know the only reason you're calling for me is because it gives you a false sense of control. Oh, so like she's calling for her Man, this is so now she's a control freak. This is so wild to me. This is so wild. You've done it. You achieved integration. You've tossed the sides around like they're rag dolls. Yet you can't do anything about me, and that eats away at you. I closed my eyes, rolled over, and sank down. So what is Tessia's whole point? Like, is she? I don't know. This whole duo of this Tessia and Cecilia stuff, I don't like it. It's not it, man. I closed my eyes, rolled over, and sank down into the clouds. I held a picture in my mind, reaching with tendrils of mana. I wonder if she can control the beast will at all now. Reaching with the tendrils of mana all throughout my body, searching. I wasn't sure if it was working, if it even could work, but when I opened my eyes, I couldn't help but smile. I was no longer surrounded by cool wind and fluffy clouds, but was standing on soft green grass beneath the spreading limbs of tall silver-barked trees, their shadows dappling the ground and making the entire world look like it was swaying gently. Tessia Earlith was standing not far away. Oh, so she's like going into her subconscious? That's something new. Tessia Earlith was standing not far away. Her silvery braid hung over her bare shoulder. An emerald green and gold gown draped off her lithe frame. I looked down at myself. I was shorter than her, a bit stockier. My hair was plain brown and boring, chopped off around my shoulders like I'd been hacked apart with shears. I let out a deep breath to steady myself. I hate talking to you in my head. It's gross, like a violation. This is better. A violation. Yeah. I think I know exactly what you mean, Tessia said. Like, I mean, how can you not understand, like, you're inhabiting someone else's body, bitch? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? A violation. Yeah, I think I know exactly what you mean. Tessia said, her undertone of sadness cut through with a vague sense of irritation. You know, after I learned through you that Arthur was reincarnated, so much made sense. His intellect, his wisdom, his maturity, it seemed foolish. Now that I think about it, that I tried so hard to chase after. Now that I think about it, where am I at? Shit. Yeah. Now that I think about it, that I tried so hard to chase after him, I used to get really angry at myself at how different we were when I thought I was a year older. But it turns out he was 30 years older. She laughed and I scowled. Why should I care? Bruh, like this is supposed to be your guy. Like, does she not remember falling in love with Gray? Like, I don't know. Maybe she's jealous? I don't know. See, I can't think of anything logical that makes sense because all she expresses is like anger. Like she's this angry, miserable person who wants to control everything. She wants to have this confidence that everybody else has, and she's jealous that she doesn't have it, and so she's willing to do anything to get this confidence. And like I don't know. Why should I care? Because I thought you'd be the same, that you'd be different. I was confused at first, but then I realized, yeah, you said all this before. So are you ready to listen? I kept careful watch on the Elderwood Guardian, which was writhing around the outskirts of the clearing I had created for our conversation. You can see in my head, can't you? My every thought and desire is an open book to you. So tell me. Tessia caressed the hair hanging over her shoulders, her eyes on the ground. It's not about you. It's not about you talking to me. It's about you being honest with yourself. After everything you've learned, you're still fighting this war. Why help a grown-up? Okay. Let's see what her rationale is for continuing to help a grown-up who doesn't give a fuck about Nico, who's the person that she loves, who has manipulated your memory and planted false memories in your brain so he can better control you and better have you do what he wants you to do. Let's see what she says. Let's see how idiotic it is. You're still fighting this war. Why help a grown to get what he wants? Do you really trust him to send you back to your old life after all this? She looked up, her gaze burning into mine. And is it really worth it? I rubbed my eyes in frustration, turning my back on her. What do you want me to say? I'm selfish, a shitty person, a stunted child believing in fairy stories? Fine, whatever. I'm all of those things and more, Tessia. Maybe I am a bad person, but I've come too far. Done. I choked up, swallowing heavily, then continued. Things killed people, and that can't be for nothing. It can't all have been for fucking nothing. Okay, we got some anger, okay. Got some anger. Okay. Tessia was quiet for long enough that I turned around, wondering if she was still there. She was. And as she stood there and watched me thoughtfully, I sagged, the weight of my own words settling on my soul. Would you really burn this world to the ground if it means you and Nico get to go home? I shook my head. And leave Agrona to rule over the ashes. And if you're stuck here in the ashes with us, she asked, then at least there won't be anyone left to judge me. I am done! I am done with this bitch! I am completely done, bro! What? What? That is her reaction! Her reaction is, oh, I will burn the world. So now she's just ultimate evil. She's ultimate evil now. Like this is pathetic, man. This is garbage. This is so this is the worst part of this story, man. Like I just wow. Like wow. That's where we are at this point. That's where we are. Like come on, y'all. Like tell me something to save this. Tell me something to make this make sense to me, all right? Like tell me how this makes sense. Tell me how a little girl who grew up in she didn't grow up. She was in an orphanage. She's had friends for the first time with Nico and Gray, you know, and she fell in love with Gray, and Gray didn't want to be with her, so she fell in love with Nico. And then, you know, Nico got captured, and she's the legacy. People started using her. She sacrificed herself for Gray, so she wanted to die so that way she wasn't gonna be controlled. But now she gets reincarnated. Nico's back, and she's working for somebody who's willing to destroy the whole world, and she's completely okay with that as long as she get to go back to the world that she was with Nico. And if she get to stay here and can't go back, then that's better than people judging her. Like bruh, like make this make sense. This shit doesn't even make sense. Oh my god. Bruh. I have no words. I have no words, man. I have no words. Okay. Let me take a drink. I can't. Oh my god. Whoo! This chapter, man. Do y'all want to have a conversation? Listen, I will go. We can go on Discord. We can talk about this shit. I'll be curious to see what you guys think, man. I can go in there right after this video. We can go on Discord. I can drop a link, and y'all can chime in and chat. Like I swear. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Okay, let me go where I was at. So Tessia asked her, would you really burn this world to the ground if it means you and Nico get to go home? I shook my head. And leave Agrona to rule over the ashes. And if you're stuck here in the ashes with us, she asked, then at least there won't be anyone left to judge me. I still can't get over that, bro. So she would destroy the whole world so she won't be judged? When? When was this personality? Like, where was this personality when she was back on Earth? Because she was on Earth. She was on Earth longer than she's been here in this new world, you know, with magic. So like either she was always like this, which we didn't get. We didn't get this, which is just bad storytelling or writing or setup, whatever the hell you want to call it, to not like, because this is just like, this is baffling. It's just like, so you've always been evil? Like, what? If you're stuck here with us, or at least there won't be anyone else to judge me, I said slowly, suddenly very tired. Before she could answer, I swept my hand across the mental projection, wiping and clearing away and opening my eyes. The clouds were dark and heavy with rain. Lightning flashed and thunder boomed. Cause I can tell you right now, Nico wouldn't be okay with just destroying the world. I don't think he'd be okay with that. The clouds were dark and heavy with rain. Lightning flashed and thunder boomed. I sank beneath the clouds into heavy rain, letting the coldness of it soothe my skin, refusing to acknowledge that the flush of my cheeks was from shame. The streams running down my face aren't tears either. Wait, what? So the clouds, so she's in the clouds, you know, there's rain. She's letting the coldness soothe her skin, refusing to acknowledge that the flush of my cheeks was from shame. So she has some sort of shame, I guess, from what she said. And the streams running down my face aren't tears, they're just water. Cecilia! I flinched, not having noticed the approaching mana signature. Nico, flying in a cocoon of wind conjured from his staff, pulled up 20 feet away, his face shielded against the wind and rain by a hand. Are you alright? The storm came up out of nowhere. Wait, are you alright? This storm came up out of nowhere. She probably caused the storm. I stared at him blankly, and it took several seconds for my thoughts to click in place. As soon as they did, the rain stopped. The clouds melted away, and we were flying in bright, cold afternoon sun. Tego and Caleb jumped up from the mountains beneath us, or jutting up from the mountains beneath us. An uncomfortably warm breeze kicked up, whipping around us and leaving us both dry in moments. A groaner called for all the sides and you. The others have already arrived. He's expecting us immediately. As he turned away, I blurted out, "Am I a bad person, Nico?" Okay. Reversing course, Nico flew closer, his worried frown deepening further. Bro, he's the wrong person to ask. He's never going to tell you the truth. Y'all both fucking keep secrets from each other. But now you expect for him to honestly give you a truthful answer? Like, they're like fucking children, man. It's just like, ugh. What's this about? Nothing. Nothing. I blurted out, like a child. Do you think I'm pretty? Why would you ask me that question? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's nothing. It's nothing. Never mind. We shouldn't keep Agrona waiting. I sped ahead, plunging down toward the fortress, flying at speed around the sprawling exterior to Agrona's private wing and landing on one of his many balconies. A wall of noise hit me as the rush of wind in my ears subsided. The stomping of booted feet, the call and response of barked commands, the rush of channeled mana. Beneath the tower, thousands of mages were arrayed in formation in the courtyard. Banners from every dominion. Uh-oh, some shit's about to go down. Banners from every dominion were displayed, showing where soldiers from Etriel, I think that's how you say that, stood separately from those of Vekker and Trucia. Each force having been brought by the scythe of that dominion. The glass balcony doors were closed, locked and warded, but the mana unfolded at my approach. and the latch jumped up, allowing a gust of wind to push the doors open. Beyond was a comfortable sitting room. A fire was burning in a huge fireplace, and Agrona was leaning against a low bar. He was dressed formally in black and gold, and the ornaments in his horns caught the light and twinkled like stars as he turned to look at me. And he's never going to be upset about her being late because she's the legacy. He doesn't want to piss her off. So, where am I? He looked just as he always had, ever since I'd known him. But as he regarded me, his brows lifting ever so slightly, I couldn't help but think something had changed. He had changed, but I couldn't put my finger on how exactly, and I had to wonder if I was just imagining it, or maybe I thought I'm the one who has changed. Nico eased into the room behind me and carefully closed the doors, his unease coming off of him in waves. We are finally all here, Agrona said with a too-wide smile, gesturing for us to enter. I was surprised to see Melsry and Viessa already present, seated uncomfortably on one of the plush couches filling the room. Neither met my eye. Drogoth was also present, standing in front of the fire with his back to me. His shoulders were hunched, his broad horns drooping. More surprising was the presence of the retainers. The sickly Beaveray hunkered in the shadows, while the statuesque Echerin, I think I said it, lingered near Drogoth, trying and failing to hide his nervousness. Moar hovered near the windows and stared out at the Basilisk Fang Mountains, the cool light painting her changeable skin, an almost translucent pale marble color. For the first time since arriving in Alacria, I thought I understood a little bit of how Agrona must have felt when he saw all these powerful people gathered together. Anywhere else in the world, they would have been a formidable, even overwhelming force. But here, now, they seemed so unimportant. They were nothing. Bro, I just can't get over her just like, she needs like constantly to like validate herself that she's the best, she's the most powerful, she's the strongest. Like, it really is pretty wild to me. I mean, if she was reincarnated in another body, this would be so much easier for Arthur. You know, Arthur can just be like, you know what? We got to kill this bitch, and then just do everything he can to kill her. But now it's just like, it's not that simple anymore. Because it's Tessia's body. Which honestly, like, Tessia did this to herself. So, she just got to suffer the consequences. Because she's a dumbass. They were nothing. I felt Tessia's disappointment bubbling up from within. What? Do you suppose this is how the researchers felt towards you as they poked and prodded you under such high authority? Maybe they saw you as nothing more than how you are now looking at the sides, as an asset, soldiers to be tolerated perhaps, but not respected. I swallowed hard, carefully keeping my thoughts to myself. All my mighty scythes and their fearsome retainers together again, Agrona said, his arms out wide. We are missing only our lost little lamb, Ceres, and her faithful hound. Her presence would have been a wondrous gift, but alas. Drogoth had turned when Agrona started speaking, and he blanched at this comment. Beside him, Echerin, I think that's how he said it, Echerin, stared at his own feet. Still, don't be too hard on Drogoth. Agrona flashed just a wide grin. You've all suffered your share of defeats and failures, of embarrassments lately, haven't you? Agrona smiled like a proud and understanding father. You know what would be crazy? If Agrona was just like, Cecilia, kill all of them. Like, what if he was just like, you guys are nothing, you served your purpose, now you're finally meeting the legacy, and the legacy is all that matters, and what if he just orders her to just kill all of them, and then she just kills all of them? I don't know. I don't know, man. Agrona's crazy, so I can see it happening. You've all suffered your share of defeats and failures, of embarrassments lately, haven't you? Agrona smiled around like a proud and understanding father. He pushed himself up on the bar, letting his legs kick back and forth, his heels occasionally knocking against the wood. But we, all of us, sometimes must take our licks and keep moving. He knocked his knuckles against the bar top a couple times. To mix metaphors, we've allowed our house to gather dirt for long enough. The Sarah situation will come to a close in due time, but there are many other places we can begin cleaning up right now. The sides and retainers exchanged uncertain glances, but no one dared interrupt Agrona, especially when he was giving off the pretense of a good mood. The dragon's presence in Dikathan means there is no longer anything to be gained from our infighting, he continued. The dragon's presence in Dikathan means there is no longer anything to be gained from our infighting. So maybe he sees the dragons being there as like, okay, let's not worry about Cerys anymore. Let's continue on with these other plans. While Dragoth will continue to pursue Cerys in the relic tombs, the rest of you will put our house back in order. I expect before our efforts in that department are complete, we'll be seeing Arthur Lewin poking his head out as well. And when he does, I want you to capture or kill him. Melzra and Viesa shared a meaningful look. What are you going to be doing? I asked, frustrated by this flippant method of killing Gray. What are you going to be doing? I asked, frustrated by this flippant mention of killing Gray. Gray had already defeated a squad of Agrona's Asura killers. I knew Agrona didn't expect any of these sides to actually beat Gray. Agrona cocked his head to the side, jangling the ornaments in his head, in his horns. His smile didn't falter, but his legs stopped swinging. Why do you ask, Cecil dear? I swallowed heavily. Something about the look in his eye made me second guess my forthrightness. I just meant if Gray is such a threat. Agrona's smile widened, baring his canines, and he slid off the bar. Standing tall, his shadow seemed to fall over everyone at once. Despite my feigned weakness, that cautious old dragon has been satisfied to let the situation on this world linger, allowing me to plumb the depths of the relic tombs and grow my understanding of this world's power. Finally, though, thanks to our wayward, reincarnated friend Arthur, Kezis has opened the way between Dikathan and Ephiodus. Now, as you end this silly civil war and hunt Arthur Lewin, I will be preparing to take full advantage of Kezis' misstep. Anything pleasant slid from Agrona's face, like he'd taken off a mask. Beneath was some dark and dangerous. Okay, so let me pause. So, Agrona is prepared. So this is kind of what Cerys even, talked about. This is part of what Cerys had said. She was like, when she plans to let Agrona and Kezis fight each other until they, kill each other, right? So, it seems like Agrona's finally making this move towards Kezis. But he said that he wanted them to capture Gray, a.k.a. Arthur. But she said that she doesn't expect for them to kill him. Okay, so we're missing some stuff. So we're missing something. So we need to learn more. We need to learn some more. But so now as you end this silly civil war and hunt Arthur Lewin, I will be preparing to take full advantage of Kezis' misstep. Anything pleasant slid from Agrona's face, like he'd taken off a mask. Beneath was something dark and dangerous. In my own pretense of weakness, some of you have allowed yourselves to become actually weak. I've given you new regalias along with my patience. It is time to prove yourselves worthy of both. The room seemed frozen, as if the others were no longer even breathing. Time could have stopped, and it would have changed nothing. Agrona's eyes traveled slowly across each of us in turn. The legacy will focus primarily on Arthur Lewin. If you can't bring him whole, at least bring me his core. Make use of the size as you see fit to ensure that this is done. He turned and swept from the room, leaving behind him a deep set and brooding silence. Okay, so what does this mean? What does this mean? Because, let me see. No. Why the fuck isn't it working? Okay, that's not working. Okay. Oh, all right. So what does this mean? So Cecilia's trash. Her character doesn't make any goddamn sense, and she's basically just evil. And it also seems like Sarah's plan is going exactly the way that she thought it was going to go, because Agrona is literally doing exactly what she wanted. Like, Arthur needs to go and fight Cecilia, and that's like the plan. That's like the immediate plan. And to potentially have, and I guess he's not worried about Arthur even if he is strong enough to try to like fight her and maybe possibly beat her. He's not worried about Arthur killing her, I don't think, because he already knows that he thinks he's too weak and blah blah blah. So I'm gonna read you guys' comments in a second, but so it seems like Sarah's plan is going exactly as she thought. Agrona's also preparing to go into Ephiodus, or, you know, some attack on Kezis, which is what Sarah's plan was. Sarah's plan is for Arthur to go and face Cecilia. That's exactly what's gearing up to happen. And so all her stuff is going, you know, right on point. And she also has some other underlying plan that she's not explaining that Arthur has speculated about. So, I wonder how all this is going to play out. Because right now we got Sylvie. Regis is on hiatus right now. He's going to be left behind. That's what Arthur said. He's happy about not having a destruction room. Sylvie, Chul, and Arthur. That's it. So, are the three of them strong enough to defeat the Sides, the Retainers, and Cecilia? Probably. Because I can see Chul taking on like two Sides at once and fucking them up. I can see Sylvie taking on one side. And then I can see Arthur focusing entirely on Cecilia, maybe some Retainers. I don't know. But let me see what you guys think, because I am interested. All right, there were some comments I didn't read. So Anthony, let's see. I think Agrona has some form of mind manipulation. So Anthony, are you talking about mind manipulation for like the other Sides and like the Retainers, or are you talking about mind manipulation for Cecilia? Because he did have implanted memories and manipulation, but she got rid of all that when she absorbed what's-his-face's Kyros absorbed his Basilisk mana, so that's not in play anymore. All the Sides that Dragoth Retainers and Cecilia against Arthur and Chul and Sylvie, this is going to be one hell of a fight. Yeah, it's going to be one hell of a fight, for sure. I'm really curious how it's all going to go down. Arona's curious if you think the Legacy can capture or kill Arthur. Listen, I don't know, man. We still don't know the extent of her abilities. Now, she might not be able to control Arthur as far as like interrupt any spells or whatever, but she probably won't have the speed that Arthur has, right? She probably won't have the speed, you know, his teleportation and shit like that. I don't know if she can sense ether, so she might not be able to sense where he's at. I'm trying to think about how this fight's gonna go. But she could probably do some crazy ass destructive spells. She could do a whole lot of AoE shit. She probably has some crazy good defenses with like her wind magic and then the gravity magic and the earth. You know, like, what else? She could probably have some crazy ass ice armor or some volcanic armor. Like, she can do some crazy shit like that with defenses. I don't know, man. But she can definitely hurt him, though. She can definitely hurt him, because even when Arthur fought and was training with the one Jinn, the Jinn, what is it called? The Jinn, not relic. I guess you can call it a Jinn relic. But anyway, when she was fighting the Jinn, the one who made that armor, she said that the armor will help him draw in ether, and it also would defend him. It'll also be good defense. But she said that, you know, like, you can't rely on it or something like that. Someone who has strong enough ether arts or strong enough mana can still pierce it, so he can still get fucked up. And we knew this from Cadell. Cadell had that big ass long spear that like shot by him, and he was gonna get fucked up if it wasn't for Regis. Listen. If y'all got a bunch of thoughts, let me know if y'all want to have a chat in Discord, because I do a chat right now in Discord, and we can kind of just chat about the chapter and see what you guys think, and we can do that right now, and I'll probably stay on for probably like, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour or something like that. So let me know if y'all up to that, because I'll just drop the link and we can do that instead. But seriously though, let me know. If y'all don't let me know, then I'm gonna just end the stream and just prepare for another video at some point. I'll probably do a review of this chapter too. So Arthur and Cecilia have a large amount of ether. Wait, Arthur versus Cecilia. Arthur has a large amount of ether, the third layer core, while Cecilia has an infinite amount of control over ambient mana at her will. Arthur wins, but with extreme difficulty. I don't know, man. I don't know. I definitely lean towards Arthur actually winning this fight, but it's not going to be a one-on-one fight. It's going to be like, how many sides are there? You got Agrona, not Agrona. You got Dragoth, you got Viessa, you got Melsry, and I guess Nico. So you got 4. Hopefully I'm not missing anybody. And then you got the Retainers. The Retainers is nothing. So, and then you got Cecilia. It could be a one-on-one fight, but I don't think it's going to be a one-on-one fight. I doubt density of enemy and mana is enough to match Arthur's ether core after being third later, but she is a menace to all servers, so she has enough mana themselves. The fact that Agrona says she can use size as she sees fit, and she can use their mana for fewer power. Yeah, so basically Agrona, he doesn't give a fuck about the size. He's just like, you know, y'all bitches can just die. Who cares? You know, like, it don't matter. Like, everything he's done has been for the legacy, and now that the legacy is at this point, he feels like he can go forward with his plans and stuff. I'll say it again, Lebo, I don't know if you was in when I said it. I don't expect Arthur to get any sort of integration, any integration stage or whatever. Arthur's power-ups is strictly going to be God runes. That's it. It's going to be God runes. Mana isn't the same as ether, so I'm not expecting for his trajectory and gaining in strength and gaining in mastery and control is not going to be the same as Cecilia's her development with mana. You know, it's just mana and ether are just completely different. Like, ether is not meant to be controlled, it's meant to be influenced, while mana is meant to be controlled. Like, it's just, they're just completely opposite, you know. Like, he doesn't even power up the same way that he does with it. So I don't expect him to get any integration or whatever. He just needs to get better understanding, better insight, and develop more God runes, and that's it. And that's it at this point. I mean, think of it. He doesn't need anything else. He just needs, if he gets like 2 more God runes that can do some crazy ass shit, like that's it. Like, we don't even know the full capabilities of Realm Heart. Like, he could probably use Realm Heart to do some shit to influence ether. I don't know, he probably won't be able to influence Cecilia's mana at all. But to influence the mana with the ether and shit like that, like, man, he don't need anything else except just more God runes. Like, the God runes are already powerful enough as it is. So if he's got 1, 2, 3, well, like 3, like 2.5, 3. He's got like 3.5 God runes. That's it. Imagine if he had 12. fucking crazy. Crazy. You know, so that's all he needs. All he needs is the guy runes. But yeah, so this fight gonna be something. This fight gonna be something. I'm expecting the sides to either die or maybe one of them joins forces with Arthur. Because they be getting some like hesitant looks and stuff like that. You know, you got Melsry and Viesa, they ran away. I don't know. I just think that like it's a possibility that they could just like, you know, side with Arthur and be like, you know what? If I go back here, Grondal's gonna kill me. So I'd rather fight with you. You know, I can see that happening. I just don't know, man. Cecilia is such an oddball in this story, man. She's just, I don't know. But it doesn't seem like y'all want to chat and do anything in the Discord, so I'm going to get up out of here. But I appreciate all you guys for joining in. I'm going to do a review of the chapter, kind of do like a little summary. You know, I know it's like an hour and 41 minutes, so I know you all didn't catch the entire thing. But I appreciate y'all checking in, and see you guys in the next video. Peace.